Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Chris Alamany. You're watching the Alberniweather podcast for November 14th, 2024. I want to talk to you today about some cold weather that we'll see before another rainstorm on the weekend, and La Nina. So we'll start with the big stuff, which is La Nina. They just put out their update this morning on a forecast for either El Nino or La Nina conditions. It's called the El Nino Southern Oscillation, is its official name. Um, what we have now is continuing a La Nina watch, is what they're calling it. So right now we're in neutral conditions. So we had an El Nino earlier this year, up until the summer around then, and then it started to weaken and switch towards a La Nina. It appears from their forecast today they're expecting quite a weak La Nina. So it says here there's a 57% chance La Nina will develop soon. This is late for La Nina to arrive, and it's very likely to be a weak event at most. However, even a weak event can influence temperature, rain, and snow patterns across the world. So that's a really good summary of it. They do expect La Nina conditions to develop along the zone, which is along the equator here. You can see that here. These cold conditions across this area of the South Pacific is what we see as that El Nino or La Nina. So it's La Nina when these are colder than average, and it's an El Nino when they are warmer than average. And this affects weather patterns all over the world, including our own. So I'll go to the website. So this is the actual forecast for November 14th, and they do these once a month, looking out to the next month or two, and further into the future. So it says over the past month, and so neutral continued as evidenced by overall near average sea surface temperatures observed across the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean. Um, the plume predicts a weak and short duration La Nina. The latest North American multimodal ensemble forecasts are cooler than the plume and predict a weak La Nina. Due to this guidance and La Nina like atmospheric circulation anomalies over the tropics, the team still favors the onset of La Nina, but it is likely to remain weak and have shorter duration than other historical episodes. A weak La Nina would be less likely to result in conventional winter impacts. So for our region, the normal impact from a La Nina event would be a colder winter and a somewhat drier winter, whereas an El Nino is usually quite warm, with more moisture. So it says, though predictable signals could still influence the forecast guidance. So, so really what they're saying here is they don't expect a strong La Nina, so it might not have those really obvious strong impacts in the um, winter weather patterns, especially because it is already almost December. But that is still a possibility. So we can probably still expect that this winter will be slightly cooler than normal, or at least just feel cool. But maybe we won't get the coldest weather that we would sometimes get during a La Nina event. And it might also mean we get a little bit more precipitation this winter than we would normally get in a La Nina winter. So it says, in summary, La Nina is most likely to emerge in the October-December 2024 time frame, a 50%, 57% chance. That's just better than a coin flip, and is expected to persist through January, March 2025. So if we look at the figure here, this should show us, there you go. So these are the predictions based on their models, the probabilities. So you can see this is October, November, December. So you can see the greatest probability is for the blue La Nina here. The next most likely is neutral conditions, and then that increases to over 70% in the November, December, January timeframe. And again, it's very strong in the December, January, February time frame. So this is just the presence of a La Nina condition. So that doesn't mean that it's going to be strong. It just means that they do expect La Nina conditions to happen. So you can see it all the way into the January, February, March period. And then as we get into the new year, we see the possibilities of El Nino coming back, or more likely that than not for us to begin to neutral conditions. So this goes all the way to June, July, August, which at this point they are predicting neutral conditions. It's almost exactly um, equal for La Nina or El Nino. So the most likelihood is a neutral condition there. But that is very far out. Things can change reasonably rapidly in the region. So the expectation is La Nina, but it will not be strong. So we may not see the huge impacts that we can sometimes see from La Nina in our region. Okay, so that's the situation with El Nino and La Nina. I didn't do the update on current conditions. It's 7 degrees this morning. It's just calm winds. We have some good air quality, and we've had a little bit of rain overnight. Um, so I just want to bring you up to date on some changes on the website. I've tried to clean it up a little bit, took away the notification about the new tabs and stuff. But again, you can see all of the forecasts in these tabs. My apologies if this disappeared yesterday. I didn't realize that I had actually removed the whole thing. But here it is back. So that's the forecasts, and you should see those now across all of our web pages. So there it is on the top of the webcams page. Do note the east pointing webcam appears to be offline right now. I'm going to check it out this weekend to see why it's not sending data. But yeah, you should see all of the forecasts on top of all of the pages now. Including the almanac view and the air quality. So it should all be up there, looking pretty much the same. There's also a search bar here if you want to search for um, anything on the website. You can use that search button, and it will bring up all of the posts from the past on that term. You can also find so I'm going to be updating this fairly soon. It's not going to change massively. It's going to look the same in general, but there might be some different modules and stuff in there. But the general information will remain the same in the general look. We still have the almanac view. Got this to work a little better. Recently. We still have the text and stuff there. And then I also have a new view here called Neo View. It's got some really nice live graphs here that you can see on both mobile and on a desktop. It's got, you can download the images in different formats. and you can zoom in if you want to different areas into the graph so you can see more detail. So it's a great view. Um, I might in time replace the almanac with this view. Um, but I still want to work on it a bit and make sure it's got all of the information I want. It also has some really cool um, planetary stuff. There's the sun and moon, and it also has uh, rise and sets for various um, planets that we can see. So that's cool. So that's the new stuff on the website. And then let's look at the forecast. So just refresh this to make sure you get the latest one. Um, so first up, we're done with the rain and the wind for now. We had wind up to 120 kilometers an hour up on the north coast on Solander Island, which is cool. But we didn't have too much in Port Alberni, actually very little wind in Port Alberni. Um, but there was certainly plenty of wind on the east and the west coast. So let's look at the temperatures for the next few days here. It is Thursday today, so we'll look at tomorrow morning. It's looking like we might get uh, down towards freezing, so getting close to there. You can see this light green, bluish color is this 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so just down to 0, so probably around 1 degree. It sounds like we're going to have some fog in the morning. So that will do two things. It will cool us down, but it often keeps us from actually having frost. So unless you're in the deeper valley where maybe the fog uh, it has sunk away from and you get some clear sky, then you'll probably see frost tomorrow or possibly Saturday, but probably not in the city itself. So we can see it's already a little warmer on Saturday morning. So I expect just tomorrow morning will be the chilliest for early morning highs. So you can see here Thursday fog patches developing before morning, low -1. So we'll probably see. I would think in the city it'll probably be 0 or maybe +1. Out at the airport, it should get down below 0, and if it does clear a little bit, if the fog perhaps doesn't reach all the way up into the valley, then there'll be some clear skies, and you should get below 0 and see some frost. So that's something to watch out for. Um, you also want to watch out for black ice on the highway on Thursday. Friday, it's looking mainly sunny, which is great. High +5. Friday night, though, we're back into periods of rain. And interesting, it says here low 0 with rain, high +4. So that's starting to sound a little bit like we could see some slush or sleet on the Alberni Hump or the Sutton Pass. So beware of that. So let's go and look at that right now, just to see what to expect. Let's go here. So let's see. I'm just going to go straight to the snow here and see if we see any snow on the model. So this is a mix, snow and rain. So the gray is rain and the green is snow. Let's zoom in so we can see it a little better. So this is Friday, nice and clear. Should be sunny on Friday. And then Friday night, really early Saturday morning. So this is Saturday, 1 a.m. You can see rain coming in strong on the north coast, a little bit of snow over the island on the higher elevations. So that's Strathcona Park and the North Island, higher elevations. But strong rain here is going to be the main feature. So don't expect snow in the lowlands for sure, but it does look like we'll get snow at the higher elevations. And I would suspect that we will see slush or sleet on the hump and on Sutton Pass. So Saturday morning is the most likely time that you're going to see snow or sleet on the passes, on the Malahat as well potentially. Um, this isn't sure thing. It's not super cold or anything. We didn't get, we only had a day really to get down below zero. So it's not going to be a huge event, but it certainly could. If this is strong rain as well, that often pulls the temperature down and causes the rain to turn to slush. So beware. Saturday morning is going to be the key. This is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's really the meat of the storm on the west coast and across the whole island. And then it should continue through the afternoon on Saturday. It should warm, so you can see these are strong southerlies here in with the front as it comes in. So that should warm things up and take away any threat of snow in the afternoon on Saturday, and then it will warm completely, and it will be all rain at all elevations by Saturday evening. So beware of that. That's going to be a full day event on Saturday, plenty of rain. Once it starts to clear out Sunday morning, you can see the snow returns, and it's maybe a little lower level than previously. And you can see there could be some snow on the North Island, um, potentially at lower levels, and we get some interesting snow returns here on the west coast, uh, higher elevations. So Saturday late morning is pretty interesting. We could see a weird mix of rain and snow in some places, especially at higher elevations. So Saturday morning and Sunday morning, I would be really careful on the roads and expect changing conditions. If you don't have your winter tires on yet, then you're definitely going to want to get them on as soon as possible. It is going to start snowing. Okay, so that's the weekend. So nice on Friday, nice Thursday, gonna be cooler. But then we're gonna see some interesting rain and snow. It doesn't look like the wind will be too bad. This is 30 knots, 35 knots or so, way offshore. It doesn't look strong enough. Well, maybe strong enough for ferry cancellations. Let's see. Let's just go back here since we've had a bout of ferry cancellations. Let's go and just look at the gusts here. Oh, everybody's logging into the forecast model as I go, so we'll just wait for it to catch up. There it goes. So let's zoom in here again. So here's Thursday, Friday. So you can see Friday, those northwesterly winds. So that's usually where we get those cold air from is when the wind turns around to the northwest. So that's beginning. So that's why we get some cold air in here, and then we can see the system coming in. So this is Friday night. Um, Pretty strong, thick system here, but yeah, it looks like we could get into, what is that? Yeah, that's 25 knots. Yeah. So 25 knots, 30 knots towards Courtney, Powell River, 35 knots. So you're looking at 50, 60 kilometers an hour. So probably have wind warnings posted for northern sections of East Vancouver Island for Saturday morning. Um, and yeah, that looks probably strong enough. Yeah, we get into the 40s. So I would expect there will be warnings posted across the east coast of the island on Saturday and probably on the west coast as well. Winds around 70 to 80 kilometers an hour, and definitely a possibility of ferry cancellations. So Saturday is looking pretty iffy for all kinds of transportation. So in the morning, you're going to look at you shouldn't have any cancellations. Well, maybe. Yeah, you might have cancellations as early as Saturday morning. The first ferries on Saturday morning. We'll see. You might get one ferry out on Saturday morning, it looks like. Um, but you're going to be dealing with slushy conditions on the hump and on Sutton Pass and the Malhat. So yeah, so dangerous driving conditions and probably cancellations on Saturday. Um, Saturday afternoon looks like the most likely for ferry cancellations. We get some strong, uh, you know, 70 to 80 kilometers an hour in the Comox area, a little less down towards Vancouver, but probably enough for cancellation of the ferries. So once that wind clears out and switches to the north or west, so you can see the west here. It hasn't switched here yet Saturday night, so you might have cancellations through the day on Saturday for the ferries, but by Sunday you should be back. There we go. We've switched to westerlies, and that should be fine for the ferries. So the ferries should be fine on Sunday, not so fine on Saturday. So if you need to go to the island or to the mainland, you're going to want to do it on Friday night, not Saturday. Okay, that's that. I've done El Nino. Um, oh, let's look. I wanted to look at the long range here. Uh, it's been a while since I've logged into this guy. So Port Alberni, go. I just wanted to look at the 16-day forecast since we're talking about El Nino and La Nina and cold weather and rain and all that good stuff. I wanted to look at what we can expect for the rest of the month. So this is going out 2 weeks. So don't take this with a grain of salt, but this is a good model, and it tends to be pretty accurate. Especially on the broader trends. So the thing that really sticks out here is this minimum temperature. So, and well, actually all three of them. So it looks like on, as of next Wednesday, November 20th, we'll peak at around 10 degrees there for a high. And then it looks like we're going to get into a cold pattern here. So, by the end of the month, we're looking at a high below zero, -2, and lows down to -8. So winter is coming for all the Game of Thrones fans out there. That's certainly what this model is telling us. And as far as snow, let's see if there's a potential for snow here. So 20th, so this is the 20th. Looks like a bit of rain on the 20th, probably the last system that's going to come through before a high builds in. Yeah, it might be. So there's some precipitation here next Sunday. And yeah, a little bit at the end there, end of the month. So we could see some snow. It does show it here. So it says by the end of the month, 15 centimeters of snow. It's half a foot. We'll see. We'll see. That's out there, but you know, definitely a possibility. And this is looks really consistent too. So you can see these wind events. So here's Friday, there's Saturday, Sunday, so there's a little bit of wind there. There's a little bit of wind, actually a bunch of wind. Um, these the actual numbers don't take them too much into account, but the ups and the downs are what usually turn out true. So looks like we could see some interesting weather next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it gets real calm. So this looks like cold, fog. Yeah, probably going to be cold. So we'll have to look at that. Yeah, so you can see the coverage here. So yeah, so it's looking pretty cloudy for all of this. Yeah, yeah. So foggy and cold. So yeah, so after next Wednesday, uh, we're looking like a cooling trend, getting all the way down to -8, -5 maybe. We'll see. Um, yeah, could be pretty interesting stuff. Uh, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I would expect we'll probably just hang out at 0, or just around there. But we'll see. So that's what to expect there. Maybe a little bit of snow for the end of the month, and then we get into December. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Alberniweather podcast. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube, and come over to the webpage, check out the forecasts and the data there. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.